Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Ethan with Hey Bucko Outdoors here today. I've got an interesting review over one of these new BPS knives that I just picked up online. We're going to be doing a review on it, going over some of the specifications, the overall construction, fit and finish. It's a Ukrainian bushcraft knife, so I'm very excited to get into it. Interesting profile there, as you can see. Unfinished handle. Let's get into the specifications and then we'll get into the review itself. Okay, so like I said, this is the BPS Knives BS1FTS. It's a Ukrainian made bushcraft style knife. We'll take it out of the sheath here so y'all can see. You will have to work that leather sheath. That's an initial observation. As you can see how I had it in there, it comes pretty flat from the factory. Might want to handle that once you get it, wet form it a little bit. So I'm going to read off some of the specifications and we'll get into the review itself. So the overall length from tip to the end of the hilt is 8 inches. The blade length itself is 3.6 inches, as you can see that there. It's an interesting contour, similar to the Mora, but not quite. It is 1066 carbon steel construction, as you can see that right there. Pretty cool. So definitely a softer steel, rock weld at 56 to 57. So you won't have to worry about chipping so much. You're probably gonna have to sharpen this thing quite a bit though to keep a nice edge on it. Weight, 3.5 ounces. I'm pretty sure that includes the sheath itself. Sheath is pretty light. Leather construction, feels like a faux leather, not quite real, I would say. The overall blade thickness is 0.08 inches or 2 millimeters for all my non-Americans. Leather sheath, like I said, it is full tang, so that is something where you get a difference between like the Mora or the Brisa Hiker is the entire thing is full tang, which is pretty cool for a knife this size. You don't really need it, but it's nice. It is Scandi grind, as you can see. Beautiful Scandi grind. All this stuff on the blade, it came from the factory with some grease on it to keep it from rusting. Since it is a carbon steel, it has some ash wood handle scales. Now, as you can see, they're unfinished, so if you're going to be taking this thing out in a wet environment or in an area with a lot of humidity, you probably want to put some like mink oil or some Renaissance wax or some type of wood finish on there just to seal it up a little bit. Overall impressions, feels pretty sharp, so pretty interesting to see what this knife's all about. Let's get into the review. All right, so quick note about the knife itself. As far as I know, they do not make left-handed sheaths, so all my wrong-handed folks like myself out there are gonna have to just cross draw it or just get used to drawing it from the right side. First test we're gonna do is paracord. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. I will say, another quick little note, those little screws there on the side are not flush, so that's definitely probably gonna cause some hot spots. That's unfortunate, but it's like a $30 knife, so can't really complain. All right, through the paracord. Boom, did you see that? Wow. That's like on par with the Mora or the Brisa, maybe even a little bit better. Not too sure though. Let's do a few loops. Alrighty. Just like that. Boom, right through it. Sweet, let's move on to some hemp rope. It is a little bit rearward heavy, I will say, just something I'm noting too, which isn't too bad. You do have a 90-degree spine on here, which actually, it feels almost sharp. Like it's not, like it's like a real 90-degree spine. It's nothing you would see on like even the Brisa Hiker that we did a review on. It's borderline sharp, so you might want to watch yourself. I will say, I've got some decent calluses on my thumbs, and being able to choke up on that blade after a long time, you're going to notice some hot spots. So let's see how it does with the hemp rope. Right through it. Look at that. Wow. That is awesome. Cut it again. See if we can do one more with this. I don't know if we're going to have enough length. Stuff is kind of expensive, so I try to reuse it if I can. A little bit of a struggle getting through 2 loops, but not bad at all. Sweet, let's move on and show you guys how the sheath rides. So it's not exactly flush with your waist, so if you're wearing like a sternum strap on your pack or something, it might rub against you and cause some chafing, but it does have this fairly large loop, so it's going to fit around most belts. Fairly solid construction. Got stitching all the way around. No vent hole, unfortunately, or a little drainage hole, whatever. It feels pretty secure. After you wet mold it though, I will say you might want to watch that to make sure it doesn't come flying out, but I'm not noticing anything. I mean, shaking it and there's really no noise, so that's pretty good. Now I will say, since it's brand new, it's kind of hard to draw, but that's not really that big of an issue for me. Gotta love that Scandi grind, y'all. Look at that. So test number 3, you guys know it, cardboard. A lot of times I'm just hanging around the house. If I have a knife laying around, ordered a bunch of stuff off Amazon, or I just need to get rid of some trash so it all fits in the recycle bin by the end of the week. Definitely good to be able to process this stuff. So I'm just gonna try to see how it works. Look at that, wow. I'm trying to get some thin cuts there. Definitely choking up on the blade a little bit. Look at that, almost filleting it. Definitely that shoulder angle on that Scandi grind, on par with the Mora, I'd say. Maybe even slightly better. This is like between $25 and $34 on Amazon when you can find them. I know since it is made in the Ukraine, there's some supply chain issues right now for obvious reasons, which I won't go into. Boom. See how it does it piercing. Not too bad. Do it pretty decent, and then you cut out. I will say something to note: if you're going to use this as a camp knife, Scandi grinds are notoriously not terrible per se, but they're not as good as, say, a hollow grind or some type of a high saber grind at food processing. I don't have any vegetables or fruits here to show that to you, but just that shoulder angle and that secondary angle there doesn't really lend itself to being the best at food prep, so definitely keep that in mind. The BPS knives, the BTS FSTS one, that's a mouthful just to say the least. It's good at cutting cordage. You can cut through cardboard boxes. How is it at just basic Woodcraft? So I'm gonna make a little spear point to simulate if you're making a tent peg or something. We're gonna try a notch and just see how it does. So I'm gonna choke up on there again. Now this is some very dense wood that's been here for probably since last season. So definitely it's getting caught up on those knots a little bit, but nothing too crazy. It's all about the angle you're putting it at, I think. Alrighty. See how it does with the fine work. Definitely say you could make some decent feather sticks with this. Might want to use a type of wood that's easier to work with, though. I'm not sure exactly what this is. Definitely doesn't lend itself too well to being made into fine cuts, or using fine cuts to make it into something. Pretty tough wood. But yeah, definitely not an issue. And just feeling the edge, inspecting it, so you guys can see. Not really noticing any nicks insofar as I can tell. Decent edge on there still. Definitely don't think you're gonna have to worry about this too much. Maybe after like a long weekend out in the woods, you're probably gonna have to resharpen it, but just a day or two out, definitely don't need to worry about it. Sweet, tent peg's done. Let's see if we can make a... Alrighty, for my knots, I'm just gonna start with 2 lines, decent ways away from each other. And then I'm gonna try to carve out. This is where Scandi grinds lend themselves to being more useful than, say, like a hollow grind or something, is you can get in there and do some of that finer work. Again, this is not the best type of wood out here on the West Coast. We don't really have too many trees besides juniper and some sagebrush and some other trees. I'm not exactly sure what species we have out here, but if you had like oak or even hickory, ash, anything, it really shouldn't be that much of an issue, I think. See what I'm doing there is just shaving away and giving that shelf its definition. Now this is obviously a small scale, but if you're using this to build, like, I don't know, some type of structure, this is just showing that it can be done on a smaller scale. It's up to you to replicate it on a larger scale. Sweet. Obviously not the best, but it can be done with that. Just finished up the review. Unfortunately, on the way back to my vehicle, I was hiking, had this on my hip. the first little brass rivet right there came off of the sheath, as you can see. So it's doing one of these now. Now, obviously, I could probably just, super glue that or something. That's unfortunate. It's like a $30 knife, or $30 knife rather. So I don't really expect the highest quality, but that is unfortunate. The leather's not real either. So that's something I'm kind of disappointed in. If you can definitely tell it's fake leather, which is unfortunate. Let's run through a couple of competitive options real quick, and then we can get into my final thoughts. So this knife, this BPS, the BS1FTS, I'll put the exact name in the description, you'll see it. It goes between $29 and $34. That's what I've seen it for on Amazon. You can probably get it cheaper. You can probably pay more for it. It just depends on your local listings and how things are going. With all this inflation, prices are apt to change overnight. Honestly though, I like the look of it. I probably will end up finishing this handle and doing something with this sheath, because I don't think that's, I want that to go anywhere. I mean, you can still use it like this, but it's kind of unsupported and just does one of those things. I'm not a big fan of that. So we'll see. I'll probably just end up super gluing this on. All right. Again, competitive options between the $20 and $30 range. You have the Mora Companion. You know it, you love it. This is like the go-to bushcraft knife. Inexpensive. It is actually a better quality steel too. This is 1066 high carbon. So very, gonna rust up on you. So this is Sandvik 12C27, more of an intermediate steel. It will still rust. It is stainless, but it will still rust. And this, as you can see, this knife has taken a beating. Done a torture test or two on it. But you're gonna pay anywhere from $15 to $25 for one of these online, more than likely 20. They're great knives. I honestly think this is probably a way better knife than the BPS, and you pay less for it. I'm not a big fan of the polymer sheath. I've said that time and time again. I'm just not a fan of polymer sheaths overall, especially this one. This one's just kind of weird. But another competitive option, it's a little bit more pricey, but I think you get what you pay for, is the Brisa Hiker 95. Just better overall construction in my book, in my opinion. You got that cool little sledge there, as you can see. Same steel, Sandvik 12C27. As you can see, there's some minor rust spots on there already, which is unfortunate. I live in a humid environment though, so it's to be expected. But yeah, holding up good, definitely having a nice edge. If you want, if you have the ability to, I would recommend getting all three of these and just trying them out if you have the ability. But if you're only looking for one, still, best bang for your buck, go with the Mora. I think you're just gonna, it's a better knife. I don't know what to say. Unfortunately, this BPS kind of let me down. Overall, the knife is great, but the sheath, for a fixed blade, if the sheath's no good, I'm kind of turned off by it. So I guess those are my honest thoughts. The knife itself, it's not bad. I like the overall blade profile. I think that looks pretty cool. I'm a fan of it, actually. It's kind of like a Kephart almost. It's a Scandi grind, so it's a very Scandinavian style knife. But it's a cool little bushcraft knife. The handle, I'm a big fan of. I wasn't personally noticing any hot spots with these, nuts on the side, or these screws rather. But I'm sure if you did some extended use, and any of you who have used it extensively can probably attest to that. I could be wrong though. I'll get back to you guys and let you know what I end up doing about this leather sheath. But unfortunately, I don't really think that I'm either going to be able to keep this one. I'm going to have to upgrade and do something different. I think, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but I'm like 90% sure that BPS sells their separate sheaths on Amazon. They have their own little Amazon store. I don't know if I can link it or not, but you can definitely check it out. Just BPS Knives on Amazon. Not sponsored by them anyway, just it's a cool knife. Definitely another option. But definitely if you're going to be in a humid environment where it rains a lot, especially in the Pacific Northwest, cover this in like some finish or some type of like protective wax, like mink oil or Renaissance. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. That is the BPS BS1. You get the name, it's up there. It's a long name. I think it's a decent bushcraft knife. You're probably going to have to be ready to super glue this though. But overall, I don't think it's bad, especially be a cool little project. You could probably take like a laser engraver and put your initials in there or something. Pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I said, if you have not already, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Helps promote the channel and the algorithms, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.